Well, the state of Tennessee has officially filed an appeal against a judge's order blocking the National Guard's deployment to Memphis. Shelby County leaders sued Governor Bill Lee last month, claiming sending the deployment was unconstitutional. A judge agreed and put the deployment on hold. Well, now the state attorney general has filed an appeal asking the appeals court to decide if leaders have the right to challenge the governor's order. Of course, we're going to stick with this to see what happens in that appeals court. But let me open it up to Pastor Norman here. So who has the stronger argument here, Governor Bill Lee's administration or the Guard who blocked the deployment?
The judge who blocked the deployment definitely, in my opinion, has the stronger argument. The document is the letter of the law, the United States Constitution, that gives very strict caveats for which employing the National Guard can be done by a governor in his own state and under what authority. Now, the governor is coming back on a very different premise. He's saying, or his administration is saying, can a stakeholder challenge a decision of the governor? Regardless of what that decision is, you might get a different answer and a response, and it's all in the framing of how you put it in court. But I believe on this instance, the judge is right. He follows the letter of the law. Quite
a strategy there, a legal strategy.
Of course it is. It's words, back to words again.
Most definitely. Otis, so I wanted to kind of talk on County Mayor Harris and a little bit of City Mayor Paul Young and how they've taken their different stances from the beginning on this.
Right.
But I understand you may have spoken to Mayor Harris on the clarifications he wants to make in this lawsuit, but he's been vocal in opposition from the beginning, whereas Mayor Young took more of a collaborative approach.
Right.
How is that playing, or how do you think that will play in both of their administrations?
Well, let's talk briefly about Mayor Young first, and I think I agree with Keith when he said earlier that he, even though he has tried to be diplomatic here, he may not suffer that much political damage here just because the people who support him financially, they are happy that the Guard are here. And the people who didn't want the Guard at first, now that they see crime is continuing to go down, they're sort of warming up to it. So I don't think he's going to suffer any political damage. County Mayor Harris has been very vocal about this. He made a point to me the other day, though, that he did not want the public to take the position that he is suing the entire state. He's not suing the state. Right. He's suing the governor and two other people in their official capacities. And I mean, that's a distinction that I think he wants to get out there so that people don't think that he's just sort of going off half-cocked and suing everybody in the state of Tennessee. I do believe that this is probably going to end up at the state Supreme Court, and that's a much more conservative body right now. Didn't always be that way, but they are now, and I think they're going to give the governor what he wants.
With a similar outcome to the presidential decision, which is, can you sue a sitting president, and do they have immunity, and their authority goes straight forward? You're going to see the same thing on the state level.
I agree.
Okay, so with your note about conservative Supreme Court, so Scott, I do want to ask you this, being the conservative at the table, just what do you think about where it'll go with the appeals court, and to Otis's point, if it goes to the state Supreme Court?
The way I understand it, there's two issues. Can the individual sue the governor, the local leaders, can they sue the governor? And then did the governor have the right under the Constitution, the way they're Now, I don't know so much about the law about the local leaders suing, but I have looked, and it comes down to the wording when you look at the reasons a governor can issue the National Guard. And the big one that I saw was in states of emergency. And that brings up the question, was the crime level in our city a state of emergency? And a lot of people think it was. I consider, it was an emergency. And I think he maybe squeaks through, but he had the right to issue the National Guard. I stand behind him.
Okay, well, some good lawyers are behind him for sure. And my next question, just what precedent does this set for other cities under federal occupation? The fact that local leaders bound together and were able to get a little bit of success, at least, in blocking the Guard deployment.
It opens up the door for challenges to continue to flow.
I agree with that. And of course, you have some other cities. I mean, New Orleans is dealing with this right now. You've had Chicago, you've had Portland, you certainly had Washington, D.C. In those instances, maybe with the exception of New Orleans, which Louisiana is a pretty conservative state, you had the governor and the mayors all in lockstep. You don't have that in Tennessee, you don't have that in Louisiana. So we'll see what happens there.
Okay, so if I had to ask you guys to vote, is the Guard going to stay in Memphis?
I say they are.
They will.
I say, yeah.
Okay.
And they're not really doing a whole lot of. They're just walking around anyway.
Right.
It's
And-
that task force
Right.
that is doing the
It's
damage.
important to make that difference, the task force versus the National Guard. All right, when we come back, Tennessee's 7th Congressional District had a tight race during Tuesday's election. We'll see the outcome and what that could say for midterms next year. Stay with us.